If you're trying to remove your shower handle and it is stuck on there, I will tell you how I got mine off, and I'll tell you how to prevent it from happening again. Hey everyone, so I'm going to show you how to use this tool to get this handle off. I'm going to tell you what I did that didn't work, and even using this, just this, it didn't work either. So I had to come up with a way to make this work. I'll show you how to do that. Yeah, I did eventually get the handle off, and it did work really well. I'm going to show you a way that to avoid this in the future. I'm going to put something on here to hopefully keep this corrosion off so that it's not such an issue getting this handle off. Yeah, I tried a bunch of different ways to get this off too without this puller. I'll talk about those too. I have this Price Fisher, but it'll work for pretty much anything. So I need to replace the cartridge back here. However, step one, take this handle off. This pops off for this particular handle, all right? A lot of them have those little Allen bolts in there, like underneath and that. This one does not. Took this screw out. Was not that difficult. I took it out, you know, normal screwdriver. Had to push in there pretty hard so I didn't strip it. It was tight, but, you know, it came out, no problem. However, this handle, I mean, I sprayed, I can't remember exactly what kind of penetrating oil, you know, that frees rusts and bolts. Sprayed that in here. Tried to spray it back here as best that I could. Because it has to kind of go in there, it was difficult to do. So actually, I found WD-40, and it comes with these new hoses. Check it out. Flexible straw. So yeah, that thing is like really flexible. It's really cool. And I was able to bend that and kind of, you can't like bend it too tightly, but I could bend it around more. Sprayed it in there like crazy. Let it sit for 15 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours. It's the next day. I still can't get this handle off. I'm banging on it with the back end of with screwdrivers. So last resort, I'm going to try this and we'll see what happens. All right, this is awesome, but here, look at the amount of corrosion in there, and ooh, how I did this. I ended up finding this in my garage. This is basically like, I don't know, just a fairly small threaded rod. It's just like a screw without a head on it, and I really wanted to find like a screw with a head on it because I wasn't sure that this tip was going to stay centered on it, but it did. It stayed pretty well. The issue was that this tip wasn't long enough, so it needed to go through here and then go all the way in through there and like hit the back of that thing, bottom out, and it wasn't long enough to really do that. So I had to put the screw back in, and at first I tried to put this one in. The only issue was that if you tighten it up all the way, well, you're basically tightening the handle back on, so, you know, it doesn't work. So I tried leaving it, just kind of threading it in a little bit, but that tip was actually turning the screw in, so it was just screwing it back in. So I was either going to use like a smaller, longer screw like this one. So if it was small enough, because I don't want to cross thread anything in there, I was hoping it was a lot smaller, so this would just slide all the way in, and then I would have this, you know, the screw head here that tip would go into and not spin in. But that wasn't going to work either, so because this wasn't long enough, and then I'm finding out here too it wasn't thin enough. So that's why I used that other threaded rod thing, and that worked perfectly. Otherwise, honestly, I'm not sure how it would have worked on this. Like I said, I was pulling and yanking on that thing like crazy, could not get the handle off. But yeah, that puller just took it right off. Also, I did have to kind of work these things back to get it like really behind the handle. When they were just kind of out a little bit at an angle, it didn't work well. They would kind of want to pop out. So you got to work them in, and surprisingly, it doesn't look like I scuffed this. Anyway, that's all about the handle. If I have any other issues here, I will show you. Otherwise, this just pops off. This should just spin off, you know, again, famous last words. We'll see. If I have any big issues with those, I will tell you how to resolve those issues. But if you have this handle type, to get this out, there was like no way to get this out by hand. To install this, it was tightened by hand, okay? I've got these like super grippy rubber gloves on, and this was screwed in a little bit more. So there was even less material here to work with, and I really tried to turn this with just my fingers. Couldn't do it. So got the pliers out here and was able to turn it pretty easily. However, tip, be careful how you're spinning this. So what I did at first, inadvertently, was twisted the pliers more than I should have. You know, when you do this, you got to kind of do it lightly, but you got to follow along here and not twist the pliers, because I twisted and it didn't seem like I was twisting very hard, and it just snapped off a piece of this. So I'm hoping that won't be a big deal. I don't think it will be, but anyway, that's how this comes off easier. Fine threaded. All right, cartridge replaced. Now I want to start working on this handle a little bit because, well, we got to put the trim ring on and everything else, but I'm going to start soaking this in CLR. While I don't care too much about the corrosion in this area, it's in here that's a bit of an issue because I can't even really get the handle back on here nicely, and it's going to cause it to not come off next time I need to replace the cartridge. So first I'm going to try to scrape some of this off, just, you know, screwdriver, soak it in CLR for a couple minutes. Then I'm going to show you what to put on here to prevent this from happening in the future. So when this happens again, or when you want to replace the handle, the whole shower set, this will come off much easier. So I'll show you how to do that. All right, big secret to keep the corrosion from happening again, super lube. I'm going to use this. What I like about this synthetic grease is that it doesn't smell. Anyway, it doesn't seem as toxic as many of the other greases and things. So I think it's going to be a little bit better here in the shower. And I coated it on the inside of these threads here, which is the outside of the new cartridge. And then here, you know, it's not perfect. I would have loved to just soak this whole thing in CLR for a couple days. Again, I don't really care about the corrosion outside of this centerpiece here. But if you soak this whole thing, I imagine it's going to ruin the finish on here. It is a, I can't remember what kind of acid it is basically, but there's an acid in there, so it will eat it away. But you could see if I'd probably left it in there a long enough time, I could have gotten rid of everything. However, I did put some of that super lube in there and also on here, so this should keep it from sticking as much as it did before.